Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Baz Kinder. Again, I'm speaking from Wellingtone Project Management, and today we will be presenting on the topic of Microsoft Project Server, which is a class-leading project portfolio management solution, and our partners, Q Associates, will be presenting on the topic of Microsoft Dynamics SL, which again is a class-leading ERP solution. So without any further delay, let's see the agenda for today's presentation. So initially, I will start off with a brief introduction we've just done, and the very first part of this presentation will focus on Microsoft Project Server. So I'll present a few slides, and then we'll move into the live demonstration of the solution itself, and when Jeff takes over in approximately 25 to 30 minutes, what Jeff will do is actually present on Microsoft Dynamics SL, and he will show integration between that and Microsoft Project Server. So if you want advanced project accounting, that's definitely the kind of thing that you will want to see. So, Wellingtone Project Management, we are a project management company. We are based in Windsor in the UK, but we tend to work right across the UK actually, and globally as well. We offer a range of services that encompass consulting, training and recruitment. Now, we've been around for a while, been going since 1995. With regards to Microsoft Project Server, we are Microsoft Gold certified partners with the project and portfolio management competency. We're also APM accredited training providers, so again we're based in Windsor. We've got a wide range of clients that are in the UK and abroad as well. So here are some of our clients over the last few years. The one thing that they all have in common, even though they're all quite diverse in terms of the verticals that they belong to, the one thing they all have in common is they all run projects, and that they're all using Microsoft Project Server with which to manage those project portfolios. Project Server is also very, very scalable. The smallest implementation we've ever done was actually for around 6 users, and that was 1 project manager and 5 team members. Going up to somebody like the Post Office, where we implemented Microsoft Project Server, and they are now in excess of 800 users actually, so that's an example of how scalable Project Server is. Another thing that will become apparent in the presentation today is that Project Server offers a lot of functionality. You don't have to use all of it. Project Server, again, is very, very scalable. So let's just provide a bit of background to Microsoft Project and Microsoft Project Server. So initially, Microsoft launched the desktop scheduling tool, Microsoft Project, which many of you might be familiar with. That was back in the 80s, and at that time it was really geared for the use of individual project managers to do things like simple scheduling, simple reporting, task management, printing, and so forth. But as organizations have grown in maturity, as more and more people have wanted visibility of the resources, they've wanted portfolio-wide reporting at the click of a button, better portfolio management, Microsoft launched Microsoft Project Server. So we're currently on version 2013. It's the 6th release of Project Server, so it's very, very mature. This particular report here kind of testifies to that. So this report actually looked at the previous version, Project Server 2010. So Gartner, in case you're not familiar with who Gartner are, they're a leading IT research organization, and every year they look at the leading PPM solutions, ERP solutions, CRM solutions, and consistently Microsoft Project Server comes out with a strong positive, or certainly in the leaders quadrant, depending on which report you're actually looking at. This particular report, they came out with a strong positive, and there were a few others that had strong positive ratings as well, but the thing that sets Microsoft Project Server apart is that it can be deployed on the cloud, or in the cloud I should say, or it can be placed on-premise. You've got quite a bit of flexibility at hand. Some of the key things about Microsoft Project Server, for any of you that are currently using SharePoint 2010 or 2013, one of the things that will strike you about Project Server is how familiar it looks, because it's actually built on top of SharePoint. And SharePoint actually provides a lot of the functionality beneath it, such as workflow, document management, and collaboration. From a price perspective, licensing for Microsoft Project Server, when you compare it to the likes of solutions that are available from Oracle, or CompuWare, or computer associates, you will find that it's incredibly cost competitive. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this particular slide, but let's have a look at some of the most common pain points that exist and why Project Server exists in the first place. So these are the findings of a survey that was published a few years ago by the Centre for Business Practices. So they went out and surveyed a range of organisations, ranging from small SMEs right the way to large multinationals. And they found that the biggest gripes that many of these organisations were facing was the approach to how projects were being managed. So many organisations, and this is from personal experience as well, many organisations have invested quite a bit of resource, whether it's financial resource or time resource, to develop methodologies and establish processes for how projects at different times should be managed. But what they consistently find is that unless they've got a solution like Project Server in place to help reinforce some of these processes, project managers will pretty much go off and manage projects however they want to. And when they manage however they want to, they also tend to report back quite subjectively. So it becomes very difficult to ascertain exactly what's going well versus what's maybe not going so well. Resource allocation, another big pain point, and even as recently as yesterday and even this morning, we've been speaking to clients or potential clients that are using nothing more than very elaborate spreadsheets to list out all of their resources. So they've got all of their names written down on a spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet's typically emailed from person to person, from team to team, so they can update on what they're working on today, maybe over the next couple of days. Now, these spreadsheets are very labor-intensive in terms of getting them to work and getting them up to date. And they can't really answer questions like, what would happen if we took another 5 projects over the next couple of months and we need X number of developers? Have we got enough of those particular resources available to do the work? Questions like that, they probably can be answered, but it's going to take a lot of manual consolidating of information in order to get you the response that you want. And the problem is, by the time that spreadsheet's probably compiled, it's probably out of date. Too many of the wrong projects I'll skip over for now, but certainly project visibility, again, time and time again, we come across people who are sick and tired of manually putting together project highlight reports, program reports, milestone reports, a huge variety of reports. And what happens is that the people that want to see the reports can't have them at the click of a button. They've got to put a request in. And again, when the reports are presented back, the chances are they're probably out of date. And instead of you spending your time getting insight into the data and seeing what it means, you spend a lot of your time actually pulling the data together in the first place. So they are the 3 pain points that I'll be covering over the next 15 minutes or so, especially when I move on to the demonstration. Some of the aspects I won't be covering in a great amount of detail because of time constraints, but also because Jeff will probably cover some of the same areas as well. So let's just have a look at some of the benefits of Microsoft Project Server, and we'll keep this quite brief, but some of the benefits for decision makers. What you get within Project Server is what's called a demand management module. So all work requests, all project requests are channeled in through Project Server, and in one location you can see what the impact is or what the demand requirements are, whether it's human resource or financial demand. You can see what kind of demand is being placed in the organization in one place, and that's through the demand management portal within Project Server. Something that ties in really nicely to that are enterprise types. So the notion is that many organizations will run the same types of projects again and again. As an example, within IT, you might be running infrastructure projects, software development projects. These types of projects will typically have the same types of tasks within them, within the schedules themselves. You know typically how long these tasks take, and you know what kind of resource you need to do the work. So that is one part of an enterprise project type. We can provide different Microsoft project templates for different types of projects. But something else that we can provide within Project Server is workflow. So depending on the type of project, you might need to get approval from different people at different points. You might need people to go to stage gates with certain checklists being completed. All of this we can control through enterprise project types. And again, when you tie that into Project Server, anytime you want to start a new project, you first of all set the type of project it is that you're about to embark upon, and Project Server will effectively spoon feed not only the project managers, but also the stakeholders that need to be involved at various points. It will let them know what it needs from them at which point. Reporting. So reporting is a big benefit in Project Server, and I won't really talk about it too much because I'll show you some examples of it later on. Some of the benefits for PMs, it's a very intuitive project management solution worldwide. There's something like 20 million users of Microsoft Project, and there's a significant number of users of SharePoint. And Project Server is really an extension of both Microsoft Project and SharePoint. So the look and feel is very familiar. The learning curve to start adopting this solution is very, very low. EPTs, or enterprise project types, are also a big benefit for the project managers because they don't have to reinvent the wheel every time they start a new project. They also get a centralized location for all their project data, and all the task updates are fed through to them in one location. That's Project Server. Benefits for team members are very similar. Again, it's a very familiar looking tool, but they also get live visibility of all of the work that's been allocated to them. So in one place, they can see the names of the projects that they've been assigned to, and more to the point, they can actually see which tasks they've been assigned to, and they can see information like when it's due by, what they need to deliver. So it's quite powerful. Resource managers, within Project Server, you can start holding attributes against your resource. So as well as having a long list of the resources within a particular department or across an organization, you can hold attributes like job title, department, qualifications, security clearance. Literally any attribute you can conceive of, you can hold in Project Server. So the benefit of that is that when you start to assess demands or look at capacity for certain resources, you can really drill down and get to the information that you need to see. You've also got the ability to assign work either to teams or to individuals within Project Server, which is, again, it's quite a powerful feature to have. A ton of benefits for IT, which I won't really talk about right now because I think I do cover that in another slide later on. This slide is really just depicting what an enterprise project type is. So if you imagine these cylinders, or sorry, these spheres that you have, they're all different types of work requests or project requests that are coming in. Depending on what kind of project request it is, it's put through to the appropriate workflow. And that workflow will ensure that the right amount of information is entered at the right point, and that it's submitted off to the appropriate people that need to maybe provide approvals or review information as a matter of course. So that was an enterprise project type, and we'll have a look at that again a bit later. So let me provide a very quick overview of the solution set, and I've literally got another slide after this, and we'll go straight to the demonstration. And by the way, if you have just logged into the webinar, thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy diaries today. We're having a look at Microsoft Project Server at the moment, which will be going on for about another 10 minutes. After which point, I'll be handing over to Jeff Goldstein from Q Associates, who will be discussing Microsoft Dynamics SL, a really good accounting ERP solution, and more importantly, he'll be showing the integration between Project Server and Dynamics SL. So this particular slide that you're looking at right now is really depicting the solution set. So centrally, you've got Project Server, and Project Server is really your central repository for project-related information. So whether that's your project plans, your resource information, your documentation, it's all held within Project Server. On a day-to-day basis, there are a couple of primary interfaces into Project Server. The main one is really this item that you see me hovering over right now. This is called Project Web App. It's a web-based interface based on SharePoint. The version that you're looking at right there on the slide is actually it's Project Server 2013. I know that when Jeff demonstrates Dynamics SL, we'll also have an opportunity to have a look at Project Server 2010. So that's the home page, and it doesn't really matter if you're a executive, a team member, a project manager, or a resource manager, you all go to the same URL. But one of the great things about Project Server is that we can set up security groups and categories, and you can assign people to those groups and categories so you can control what people are able to see and do when they're in Project Server. So what one person sees might not necessarily be what somebody else sees, depending on the permissions that they have. Project managers can do quite a bit of light project editing in PWA, but if they are full-time project managers, then they would need to use Project Professional 2013, which gives you more functionality. It allows you to have more than just one type of dependency. So rather than just having a finish to a start, which is a limitation of Project Web App, within Project Professional you can do start to start, start to finish. You've got a very you've got a lot of flexibility there with Project Professional. I've got a few people commenting that they cannot get audio. So was actually going to say, if you have problems with audio, then please let us know. But if you can't get audio, then you can't hear me giving you that instruction. So I'll progress and I'll look out for the messages that are coming through, and we'll see what we can do to get the audio working. But okay, so moving back to the solution set itself, Project Server needs SharePoint to be in place. So if it's Project Server 2013, you need SharePoint 2013. If it's Project Server 2010, you need SharePoint 2010. Again, it integrates very nicely with Dynamics SL, Dynamics AX, Dynamics CRM, and we'll be having a look at the integration point with Dynamics SL in a bit. There's also integration options of Exchange, Visual Studio Team Foundation Server. There are requirements for Windows Server and SQL Server to be in place as well. This is the last slide, but I'm just going to go straight into the demonstration. So Project Server is quite a beast of a solution. It offers a lot of functionality. It offers functionality that allows you to prioritize your project portfolio as and when it's being put together. So people have got the option of putting their business cases through Project Server, putting in how projects that are being proposed align to corporate strategy, what kind of return on investment they will provide. Based upon that, the system can provide a prioritization based on how much money you have available, how much resource you have available. Project Server can tell you which projects it feels you should be running. But that's not what we're looking at today. I have got a video on YouTube that goes in detail, looking at that functionality if you like. We'll give out the address for the YouTube channel a bit later. The part that we will be looking at today is ensuring that once projects have been selected, that your project teams are doing those projects in the most appropriate way. So today we'll be looking at project scheduling, resource management, project reporting, time reporting issues and risk management, and team collaboration. Looking at the time, we might not get through all of this. I've got about another 8 or 9 minutes remaining before I hand over to Jess, so I will keep this part brief as well. I think I lied before when I said that was the last slide. This is actually the last slide before I move on to the demonstration. So again, Project Server is very configurable. It's very scalable. We always customize it to match an organization's way of working, their methodology, their processes. But if you imagine you had a very simple life cycle for your projects, which have the phases of create, select, plan, and manage. Let's imagine when you first propose a project, you would be doing that using an enterprise project type. So an enterprise type would give you your workflow, it would give you your schedules, and any other templates would be thrown into there you would get when you start a new project. You might then go through and build up a business case for the project, and once that's done, the project might go through to selection. And that's where the PMO or senior execs would come together, run a portfolio analysis, and determine which projects have the highest strategic alignment, which ones deliver the best return on investment, and they would either approve or reject these project portfolios. Once a project is approved, however, it's pushed on to the next phase, and a project manager would be appointed. All the project manager needs to do, because the project's being started using an enterprise project type, all they need to do is really finalize the project schedule, make sure that it matches what they want to do within this particular project. They need to finalize any resource requirements and any documentation. Once they're happy with that, they would baseline it, and they would then publish the project to Project Server. When the project's published to Project Server, that's when any resources that have been assigned to work would be notified about it. They would get an email alert, but also when they log into the Project Web App homepage, they would see that they've been assigned new tasks. When a project is published, something called the project site is also created at the same time. It's automatic. The project site is where you would hold your project documentation. It's where you have your RAID logs, so your risks, your issues, your actions, your decisions. So all your logs will be kept in the project site. It's where the project manager can go and provide updates on how the project's progressing. So there's a lot of things you can do in the project site, and we'll have a look at one in the next few minutes. When the project is obviously live, then team members or resources that have been assigned work can go in to the My Work view or the timesheet view, and they can see which work's been assigned, which projects they're working on, and they're able to report back on their progress through these views. Senior managers or anybody really with the right permissions can go and access a variety of dashboards and reports, and we can create audience-specific reports as well and dashboards. And again, these are interactive dashboards. They're dashboards that are available at the click of a button, so you have a lot of flexibility there. Line managers or team leaders, they can review resource needs and work allocation on an ongoing basis. So Project Server effectively gives you a lot of visibility right across the whole spectrum of the project's life cycle, and it caters for a wide range of audiences. So different audiences will get different benefits, but ultimately Project Server should make everyone's life easier, is the general principle of it. So let's move on to the demonstration. I'll keep it quite brief, but again, we have got some very detailed demonstration videos which are available on our YouTube channel. We can also, if anybody here is interested in a particular area of Project Server that I don't cover in detail today, all you need to do is get in touch with us, and we can set up a bespoke demo or a face-to-face meeting. So the items that we're going to have a look at today, first of all, I'll introduce just the interface of Project Server. I'll show you what the major menus looks like. Then we'll show you how you would go about starting a brand new project, and we'll have a look at resource management. If we get a chance, we'll have a look at the time-sheeting area within Project Server, and we'll certainly show you a project site. Last but not least, if we have time, I should be able to show you some reports and dashboards, which is what we'll have a look at shortly. But if I switch over now, I'm just going to switch over to my demonstration environment. This is just going to load up. And by the way, if anybody has any questions that you would like to ask, all you need to do is direct them for now, either myself through the link, or you can go to Christian, or you can go to Jeff. So if you have any questions, please don't feel like you've got to wait until the end. You can ask them in the meantime. So I'm just waiting for my next presentable material to become visible, which is going to be Project Server. Just a quick question for the audience. Can you all see the Project Web app homepage, or are you seeing a black screen?
I'm seeing a black screen, Bass. This is Christian.
Okay, Christian, thank you. Let me stand Project Web app on again. It seems to have vanished. But, give me 2 seconds.
Okay, now I see.
Now you can see, yeah?
Yep.
Great. Okay, fantastic. So what everyone is looking at right now is the home page to Project Web app. This is really what most users would see when they first log in. So this is quite a basic example of the home page. We can add quite a few things to this interface. It's also very customizable. So at the moment we've got green tiles, but again, you could pretty much choose any color that you want to. We've also got our logo there, which is for Project Server in a Box, which is our fixed price implementation package for Microsoft Project Server. But again, you know, we can customize it. We can have your company logo there, and we can certainly change the coloring around on the bars along the top and across the tiles as well. So let's talk a bit about the tiles. So these are live tiles. They're dynamic tiles. Anybody out there that's currently using Windows Phone or Windows 8 will be familiar with this. So these tiles are, again, they're dynamic. So, for example, if I want to see how many tasks I've been assigned, I would just come here, and luckily I've got no tasks assigned to me. If I was a project manager and I had approvals that I need to look at and approve or reject, again, that would tell me there, it would update. So these are dynamic tiles, and again, they're all completely customizable. What we have here on the left-hand side is what's called a quick launch area. So really, these are links into the sections that we're looking at down here in the tiles. The only difference is in the quick launch, that remains there. In any part of Project Server, you will always have that quick launch area visible. At a certain point, it might change depending on where you are, but largely it's going to be there, it's going to be visible. So if we go to the Project Center first of all, I'm just going to click on that tile. What we'll be able to see shortly is this particular view. So everyone should now see a list of projects and quite a colourful graphic along the top of the screen. So just to talk through what we're seeing right now, if I first of all show you the bottom part of the screen, what you're effectively seeing is a list of all of the projects that are currently in the system, and we've got them all grouped by where they are sitting in the life cycle. So phase 1, which is create, so we've got 2 projects in there in stage 1, and we've got a few sitting in stage 3. We don't have anything in stage 2, but hopefully that gives you an idea hopefully you can envisage what that would look like in your environment with your project lifecycle in place. So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a list of all the projects, and we can set up red, amber, green KPI views there as well. I don't think I have want to show you, unfortunately, but we can set up graphical indicators on these columns as well. So if you want to see a graphical indicator, again, something like schedule, is a project on schedule, is it falling behind? We can set that kind of thing up. We can have cost drag indicators popping up as well. So graphically, you'll be able to see very quickly what's going well, what's not going so well. This view is also very, very configurable. So if I click on this arrow at the top, you can see we've got a cost view, an earned value view, summary view, tracking work and view, work views. But again, we can create as many views as you want. Many clients will have views to show projects by department, by type of project, by client, by project manager. Literally, you can slice and dice these views however you want. And they're quite easy to set up as well. What we're seeing in the top part of the screen is actually what's called a timeline view. So you're seeing a view of one of the projects, or certain projects we've selected, but we want to display on the timeline. We're seeing this graphical representation. I can also select particular projects and say that I want to add them to the timeline, or I might say I want to add a particular task from a project, such as a milestone, to the timeline. So that's quite a nice graphical view. So that was that. You've also got the ability to actually click into projects if I wanted. I can select a project, any project I want. Let's select Link 2012 Enterprise Deployment. Let's click onto that, and what will happen is I will see a drill-down view of that particular project. I appreciate that I'm talking quite a bit, and conscious that Jeff will want to get on shortly. So I'm literally going to spend another few minutes just showing you a couple of areas within the project server, and then I'll be handing over to Jeff shortly to have a look at Dynamics SL and how that integrates with project server. So I clicked into a project, and on this detail page, we're actually seeing the workflow status. We're seeing where in the life cycle of the project we are, so we're currently in the select phase. If I scroll down, you see a detailed breakdown. It tells you what phases have been completed or what stages have been completed and where you are currently. And we've got a bit of an error going on there, but that wouldn't normally occur. I can promise you that. But so that was just a drill-down view of the project. I could also go and have a look at the schedule. There's a few other pages there that we can have a look at, but for now we're just going to cancel out of that. And I mentioned earlier that Project Server offers something called Enterprise Project Types. So once Project Server is in place, you would no longer start projects off in Project Professional or Desktop Project. You would start them off in Project Web App, in the Project Center, which is where we are now. You'd click on the New icon, and you would get given a list of enterprise project types that are available for you to select from. So again, enterprise project types are bespoke, depending on your organization, what types of projects you run. It would be our job to define these enterprise project types with you and to put them onto the system. And you might also restrict what enterprise project types certain people are able to select from. So if you've got Project Server rolled out across IT and finance, you might say that people in IT are only able to see IT enterprise project types, and people in finance are only able to see enterprise project types that are applicable to them. So to start a project, all we're going to do is click on the name. So software development, we'll start a software development project, and it brings you to this kind of form. So this is a project detail page. And these, again, are very, very configurable. So whatever information you want to collect, we can set this up to do that. But generally, you would go through and fill the information out. You can make certain fields mandatory. You can have single-line fields for people to enter information against, multi-line fields, and we can also have this kind of thing, which is drop-down list, which is quite nice. So that was a project detail page. Typically, what you would do is you would fill that in, and you would save it, and that would effectively kick off the workflow and guide people through the life cycle. You can pop it on for 2 seconds. Sorry about that. So that was a project detail page, and again, you can save that and progress through the project's life cycle. And depending on where you are in the life cycle of a project, you can have a number of these forms popping up at various points of the project and when it's taking place. And again, they're very, very diverse. There's a range of project detail pages that we could set up. Some to capture budgetary information, some to capture reporting information. You might have stage gate checklists as well. So at the end of each stage, and the project manager to go through and say, yes, I've done this, yes, I've done that. The checklist will also act as a bit of a reminder for the project manager, just in case they've forgotten to do something, they can go back and do that before they submit it for review and approval. So that was a very, very quick look at the project center and how you would start a new project. I'm going to move on to project professional very quickly. In fact, before I do that, let me show you resource management, which is always a key thing that people want to see. So the resource center, which is where we are right now, gives me a list of all the resources in the organization. And again, I can group resources in a variety of ways. So I can have a view where I see all resources, cost resources, material resources, resources by team, or you know, other work resources. And work resources could be people, or they could be equipment that you're regularly booking out, or it could even be a room. So work resources, again, are quite flexible. What I've done is I've already selected some resources. So we've got a number of resources selected there. What we're going to do is click on resource availability, and you start to see some of the out-of-the-box graphs that are available with Project Server. So hopefully you can all see a graph depicting all of the people that I've selected. We've got various view options that we can set there as well. So you've got dates that you can select from, units, so that could be days, weeks, months, quarters, or even years. And you can include proposed bookings, which we're not really going to go into today. But what Project 7 enables you to do at a very high level is either commit resources to a project and publish that, meaning that you've reduced the person's availability during that window of time. Alternatively, if you're proposing a booking, you could notify the system that you want to use somebody, but you're not actually impacting their availability. That information is also available in tabular format. And by the way, the black line along the top is depicting what the capacity is of all of the selected resources combined. So any white space that you see means that they've got spare capacity. Anything that went above the black line would mean that people have been over-allocated and you've got too much work on. Another interesting view is assignment work by project. I'm literally going to go for another 2 minutes, and then I'll be handing over to Jeff at Q Associates. But this view here is, instead of showing us resources and people, we're actually seeing projects. Which projects are currently in the system? So that's what we're seeing. And this is where the proposed bookings really comes into play, because if you imagine you had a rule whereby any proposed projects could only have proposed bookings against them, when you include proposed bookings, you're effectively looking at proposed projects. And by including proposed projects, you might see that you're going to hit quite a few resource bottlenecks. So that's quite powerful in itself. Final view that I'll show you, but I'm going to spend just literally 1 more minute to show you something else. I'm used to select a few people. Apply. I'm looking at quite a wide date range there actually, so let me narrow this down just a little bit. Okay, there we go. So we've selected a few individuals, we've specified a date range, and what we're seeing is for each individual what their availability looks like. By the way, I'm using generic resources right now, so we've got people like developer, executive, but actually this would be named resources that you would have, or team resources. So this would actually be applicable very much to the real world and tell you exactly how much availability people have, or how over-allocated certain people might be. So I wouldn't want to be the marketing manager here because I've got a lot of work on. If we scroll down again, all of that's available in tabular format. That was a very, very quick look at Project Server. I'm literally going to show you one more item, and then I'm handing over to Jeff. So what I'm going to do now is open up Project Professional. Kristen, can you see Project Professional popping out?
No, it's nothing's actually being shared at the moment.
Okay, let me try one more time. If this doesn't work, I'll hand over to Kristen. Sorry, to Jeff. Okay, can you see something now, or no? It's loading up. Okay, here we are. So this is literally a very, very quick look at Project Professional. Many of you might be familiar with Project Professional. Many of you might be using 2007 or older variants, so this is Project Professional 2013. I know that Jeff will be showing us 2010. The look and feel between 2010 and 2013 is largely the same. The biggest difference between these versions and old versions is the menu bar along the top. So it employs a ribbon toolbar, pretty much like Project Server. There was only one thing really that I wanted to show you here, and that was a view called the Team Planner view. So if I can get that up and running, show you what that looks like. There we go. So again, this is very much related to resource management, which is always a key pain point for organizations. So this is giving us a visual representation. It's giving us a list of all of our resources that are on the project here on the left-hand side. All of these grey items are tasks that are occurring in this project, and you've got these assigned to resources in your project. You've got the ability to click and drag tasks around, reassign them to people. So if I move that out, you see that everything else moves out as well because it still maintains dependencies. We have got problems here because every single resource assigned has been read. And the great thing is we can actually see what other things people have in their diary, so we can see other projects and commitments that people might have. But this works great for many organizations because it gives you a consolidated view of all your resources, or it can do if you open up all your resources and all your projects at the same time. People like working in this kind of interface because it's click and drag and drop and not just looking at tables. But guys, I will conclude my part of the presentation there. So I apologize, Jeff, I've talked quite a bit, so I will hand over at this point to Jeff from Q Associates. So Jeff, would you like to take over?
Yeah, sure, Baz, great job. Thank you very much. Just one question. That was the latest and greatest version of Microsoft Project that was 2013 that you were showing?
That's correct.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let me just advance here to my slides here.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see my screen, Baz? Do you see the slides on there?
Yes, I can. I can see the slides.
Okay, very good.
Now, so I'll hand over to you.
Thank you, Baz. Okay, great. So just a little bit about Q Associates. We're a Microsoft Gold certified partner. We are working with both the Microsoft Dynamics ERP and CRM packages, the customer relationship management and enterprise resource planning packages by Microsoft, and we also work with SharePoint and, as Baz showed, Project Server just a few minutes ago in the presentation. We have local resources on the ground in the UK, based out of London at our Farringdon office, and one of the awards that we won was the prestigious Microsoft Partner of the Year. That was back in 2010, and that was for a project implementation that we did for a WPP company called Kantar Retail, and they're currently using the solutions that we're showing today in the presentation. We're very heavily focused on professional service organizations similar to yours that are all project-based. We've been in business over 20 years now, 21 years working with this, and we have over 435 customers worldwide using Microsoft Dynamics and the systems that we're going to show you today. So not only do we have offices in London, the UK, New York, Germany, Hong Kong, so we cover the globe very nicely and are able to offer 7 by 24 hour support. Now this slide just shows the Microsoft products. And basically, we're going to be focusing on 3 major areas. What Baz showed was Microsoft Project within the desktop productivity suite, which is part of Microsoft Office. We'll be taking a look at ERP and also CRM today. So when we talk about Microsoft Dynamics, there's over 300,000 customers worldwide. Microsoft is currently supporting over 4 Microsoft Dynamics ERP systems, and as mentioned, we're going to take a look at one of them today. And we also work with their customer relationship management system here. Okay. One of the nice things about our solutions is Microsoft gives you the best of both worlds. So you have the ability to take any of the solutions that we show you today and host them on the cloud, or you can run them on-premise within your data center, or we can even have a combination of both. So if you wanted to, for example, run Microsoft Dynamics in the cloud and run Microsoft Project Server on-premise, you have the ability to be able to do that. All right. So whether you run the solutions in the cloud, or you run them on-premise, they can all be provisioned, directly off of our website. So if you go directly to our website, you'll be able to provision any of the products that we show you today. So let's just talk a little bit about EPM, Enterprise Project Management, and Enterprise Resource Planning, and how they need to work together. So some of the things that the project managers are asking are, what is the budget versus actual? So they have access to budget information, but don't necessarily have access to the actual information because that's being held by the accountants. What is the project task net profit? What is my profitability on these projects? Typically, that information is held by the accounting team. Then conversely, the accounting team is asking, what is the calculation of the budget? What is my percent complete? So the whole idea is that we want to give project managers information that the accounting people are holding, and we want to give the accounts department information that the project managers have. So what we're really looking to do is, instead of having the two teams on separate islands where project management is project management and accounting is accounting, we want to bring those two islands together so that they're one island and everything comes together. So that we'll be able to answer these questions. Does the latest project budget reflect the latest schedule changes? Does the budget reflect actual work that has been scheduled? Does the project manager know the budget versus actual? Does the management team know budget versus actual, how it looks in relation to the accounting? Does your billing require duplicate entry, or is it done automatically through project accounting? And do all of your projects follow a common work methodology or work breakdown structure? So those are the types of things that we'll be able to get for you with the two integrated solutions. So the benefits here are elimination of dual entry. So time that is entered into Project Server will be passed over to Microsoft Dynamics and be able to generate or raise the invoices, for your customers without duplicate entry. This will increase setup accuracy. So when a project is set up in Microsoft Project Server, it will automatically be set up in Microsoft Dynamics, so it doesn't need to be duplicate entry. Greater efficiency and throughput, so things will not require manual intervention. These things will be done once and only once. Projects and tasks can be created or updated either in Microsoft Dynamics or Project Server and passed back and forth. And as team members are onboarded, through Microsoft Dynamics within the HR system, they'll automatically be passed over to Microsoft Project Server, so they'll be part of the resource pool, and then they can be assigned to different projects and different tasks on projects. And the information will automatically be synchronized. It doesn't need to be done, manually. So I'm just going to go through a couple of these things real quick. We mentioned human resources. Budgets will be able to be entered in Project Server and then passed over to Microsoft Dynamics, so we'll be able to do our budget versus actual reports. Access to real-time financials. So when a project manager is working directly within Project Server, he will be able to see the actuals against the budget. So we'll be able to see the budget versus actual, because the actual information will be pulled in from Microsoft Dynamics and compared to the budgets within Microsoft Project Server that the project manager developed. So that's the type of information we'll be able to see. Labor posting. So as the time is entered, we'll be able to see up to date, up to the minute, what the actual posting of the labor is and what the time is and the budget versus actual on the units basis. And then, of course, we have workflow and messaging so that we'll be able to set alerts within the system. So when we get within 80% of a budget, an alert can go off. If someone failed to enter their time this week, an alert can go off. If a time card or an expense report requires approval, an alert will go off. So not only will the alerts be sent through the system, they'll also be directed to your email, so you'll be able to get them on your handheld devices. Okay. So in summary, these are the benefits of the solution, and I'm going to go into the demonstration in a few minutes. So automatic setup of project. So whether they're set up in Microsoft Project Server or set up in Microsoft Dynamics, they will be synchronized. So depending on what your methodology is and your workflow, we're going to remove redundant data entry, so things won't need to be entered twice or be entered manually. We're going to be able to share resources. So resources that are entered or onboarded within Microsoft Dynamics within the HR module will automatically be sent to the resource pool within Microsoft Project Server and will assist with the budget, creation. Okay, so I'm going to skip these next couple slides, and we're going to go directly into the demonstration here. So I'm going to share my desktop, and what we're going to do is we're going to start off by taking a look at some dashboards that we've created that are project related, and then I'm going to go into Microsoft Project Professional that Baz had showed before and show the actual integration. So the key here is if you look all the way to the dashboard on the upper left-hand corner, what we'll be able to see is we're going to be able to see not only the budget versus actual, but we're going to be able to see the P&L for the project. So we're going to be able to see all of our revenue and all of our expenses. And if I scroll down on this dashboard, we'll eventually be able to see, what the profitability is for this project. So for the project, we'll be able to see information for the current period. We'll be able to see it year to date and inception to date. So the profitability for this project here is 22%. Actually, I take that back. This is for all projects across the organization. Now, if we want to slice and dice this and we want to look at projects for a particular location, if I wanted to look at the project just for my Chicago office, for example, now we can see that the project profitability here is 36%. So my Chicago office, their profitability is much greater than the profitability for the entire organization. If I wanted to look at project profitability, for example, for multiple offices, what I could do is I could select multiple, offices. So if I wanted to look at Chicago, Manhattan, Miami, and New York, and just look at those offices, now I can look at the profitability for those 4 offices consolidated, and now we can see that the project profitability here, once again, is 22%. So this is showing how we can very easily slice and dice the data, within our system. And by the same token, if we wanted to select all, I could select all here, but if we also wanted to select by customer, I could select by a particular customer. So if we wanted to look at Alliance Corporation, we could see that this is a negative profitability, on this particular project. Okay, a couple other things here. We can look at labor hours. We can look at labor hours. We are able to see, from our top employee to our bottom employee who has the most hours within the system. So, we can very easily commend Alex. So Alex is doing a great job. He has the most hours within our group. If we want to go down to the bottom here, we could sort this. We can see that Todd is not doing, very well. And then we can see week by week the hours. Over here all the way on the right, this is, once again, consolidated, all projects across the organization. We can see our total contract value, which is $10 million. We can see our project-to-date revenue is $12 million. Our billing amount is $11 million, and we can see revenue in excess of billing is $1 million. So if we scroll down here, what we could see is the average revenue per hour. So each one of our employees or consultants is creating 109 pounds of revenue per hour. So we could see what they're generating in terms of revenue, and then we can compare that to the cost. Total profit here is almost 3 million GBP, and then we can see our profit percentage is 22%, same that came from here. So what's really nice here, these dashboards, is they're showing information for all our projects across the organization, and that's the benefit of Project Server, because if you were just using Project Professional and people were storing their projects on individual desktops, we don't have visibility to all of the projects within the organization. So not to take anything away from what Baz showed, but in order to be able to see this information consolidated, we use Project Server, and basically all we're doing is taking all our projects, putting them in the database, so we can get a consolidated view of the projects. Okay, so a couple more things here I want to show. Down here in the bottom left-hand corner, this is really nice because this is project-to-date revenue versus billing. So we can see our actual expenses, which are in our green, project build amount, and the revenue amount in blue and in the tan color here. So the good part is, the revenue and the build amount is greater than the expenses. And the other good thing is we can see since 2010, our revenue has gone up, and it's grown up, very consistently, which is very nice. All right. And then the other report here over on the right-hand side is our billing leakage control. So one of the things that our system will help do is eliminate revenue leakage. So anytime things need to be billed, we're going to ensure that they do get billed throughout the system. However, if things do come in and for some reason some expenses don't get billed, we're going to be able to analyze those. Okay. So that's a look at the dashboards. Now what I want to do is I want to come back to Project Professional once again quickly, and I have 3 minutes to show some information here. So what we have here is we have a tab now for Dynamics. So what I'm showing you here is exactly what Baz showed you in Project Professional. However, now we have a tab for Dynamics, and I can show some additional information. So if I'm a project manager and I'm in Project Professional and I want to look at the project net profit for a project, I can click on the project net profit button, and it will load the project P&L right into Microsoft Project without having to go into the accounting or the ERP system. So right away here, the project manager has visibility into his total revenue, his total expenses, and his total net for the project. If he wants to drill down on any of these items, especially in blue, he can. So there's labor here, and there's labor here, and we can see this revenue. I can click on this. It's 1035. What we'll do is we'll come in detail, and now we're seeing the detailed time cards, that were entered, how many hours, when they worked, what they did, and how that line was, generated. So we can go back and we can drill down on any of the items here. Over here, I have a commitment, for an expense of 475 GBP. Okay, so if I go in here and I look, I can see what this is, equipment to the client, and I can go in, and if there was an attachment, I could see new software for design. So now I know what that committed cost is that hasn't been invoiced yet, but we know that we've incurred it for this project. Okay, so that's really nice. And then the other thing here that we also have the ability to do is the project profit on a task-by-task basis. So if we wanted to look at this information, on a task-by-task basis, we can do that also. The last thing I'm going to show here is the budget for the project. So if we want to look at the budget, for the project, this is going to be the budgets, so that what we're just looking at the P&L. Then if we want to be able to see the budget versus actual, like I showed before, we have the ability to be able to see that here on, this screen. So here's where we'll be able to see the budgets and be able to update the budgets, for the entire project. So at the bottom, we have a very nice summary here where we can see project revenue, project cost, and project net. We see actual plus commitment, estimated at completion, the estimated at completion amount, and the estimated to completion here, all on, one screen. So hopefully that is a good overview of the Microsoft solutions. And what we showed today is, Microsoft Project and Microsoft Project Server along with Microsoft Dynamics and how they work together so that they can give your organization the full picture of what your project and your project profitability is without having to do any duplicate entry and any manual intervention. And having the two systems work together will provide additional information to the project managers and additional information to the accounts department. So at this point, I'm going to turn it back over to Christian, and he's going to close out. He's going to see if there's any additional questions, and then, tell us what the follow-up steps are. So Christian, go ahead.
Sure. Thanks, Jeff and Baz. Excellent presentation. So what I'm going to do now is open the lines for questions. So if you're still on the presentation, thanks for joining us today. And by all means, if you have any questions, please feel free to speak up, or you can type them on the bottom left-hand side, and we will we'll address them as they come in. So Jeff, I will navigate to the last couple of slides. So thank you for attending. We're all over social media, and you can check out our websites as well. Here's our contact info. So that said, I will unmute the lines, and please ask any questions you have.
If anybody's got any questions, then please do just jump straight and be first come first. Pardon me, but if there's a question you'd like to ask but you wouldn't like to ask in public, then please feel free to email either myself or Jeff, depending on what your question is. But yeah, we're here for the next few minutes. If you've got any questions, please do jump in.
As you can see on the current slide right now, we have the contact information for Baz as well as Jeff. As mentioned, if you don't want to ask a question right now, that's okay. Take down our contact information and please reach out to us. We're more than willing to assist and help you in any way we can. Alrighty, so I guess we don't have any questions right now. So we'll leave the line open for a couple more moments, but I just wanted to say thank you again to everybody that attended. We hope you found information valuable and informative, and I will be sending a follow-up email to everybody that attended with a couple informational sheets and whatnot. So please be on the lookout for that. Otherwise, thanks again for attending, and Jeff and Baz, excellent job. Thank you for the great presentation.
Thank you very much. Well, I guess that's the end of the presentation. So thank you again to everyone who took the time out of their diaries today, and we look forward to hearing from you.